I was halfway through my morning coffee when my phone buzzed with a notification from the security camera mounted above my garage. Normally, those alerts meant a package had arrived or a neighbor was walking their dog past my driveway, but this time the thumbnail image made me put my coffee down immediately. Sitting crookedly against the front bumper of my car was a silver SUV. At first, I thought someone had parked too close, but after opening the live feed, I realized the SUV was actually pressed against my sedan. The driver's door opened and out stepped Linda, the self-appointed ruler of our neighborhood and the HOA secretary who acted like she owned every house, mailbox, and blade of grass in the community. She was famous for measuring fences, photographing trash cans, and sending warning letters over the smallest issues. Now she was standing next to my car, the one she had apparently just hit. I rewound the footage and watched her attempt a three-point turn in front of my driveway. She turned too sharply, clipped the front bumper of my parked car, and caused it to rock slightly from the impact. Linda froze, looked around, then did something unbelievable. Instead of inspecting her own SUV, she pulled out her phone and started taking pictures of my car. I immediately drove home, and when I arrived, Linda was still there. She saw me pull into the driveway and crossed her arms. Finally, she said, I looked at the damage on my bumper, the paint transfer from her SUV, and then at her. You hit my car, I said. Linda laughed. No, she replied. Your car was improperly positioned. I stared at her in disbelief. My car is parked in my driveway. Exactly, she said. I waited for an explanation, but apparently that was her entire argument. She pointed toward the street and claimed the HOA recommended that homeowners leave adequate maneuvering space near driveways. I asked what that even meant. She insisted that if my vehicle had not been parked so close to the edge, the accident would not have happened. The problem was that my car was completely inside my driveway, not touching the sidewalk, not crossing any line, simply sitting where it belonged. Linda then pulled out a clipboard and flipped through pages until she found a section of community guidelines about being considerate of traffic flow. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She had hit a stationary object and somehow concluded it was my fault. Several neighbors watched from their porches as she continued arguing that my parked car had created a hazard. Everyone knew Linda and knew how these conversations usually ended. Logic entered the discussion and promptly died. I informed her that I would be filing an insurance claim. Her confidence immediately vanished. You can't do that, she said. You'd be making a false claim. I pointed toward my security camera and reminded her that everything had been recorded. She glanced at the camera and suddenly looked nervous. Most people confronted with video evidence admit what happened, but Linda chose to double down. 3 days later, I received a certified letter from the HOA claiming my vehicle was creating an obstruction that interfered with safe neighborhood traffic patterns. I read it 3 times and started laughing. Somehow Linda had transformed herself from the driver who hit a parked car into the victim of a parking-related community crisis. The letter warned that I could face fines if I didn't correct the issue. At the next HOA meeting, the community center was packed because word had spread. Residents wanted to see what would happen when someone finally challenged Linda. The HOA president looked exhausted before the meeting even began, while Linda sat beside him with a stack of paperwork several inches thick. When my turn came, I walked to the podium carrying a single flash drive. Linda had paperwork, I had reality. The president asked me to explain my concerns. Linda hit my parked vehicle, I said. She immediately interrupted with, allegedly. I smiled and held up